Good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmed Nawaz. Tonight's show is going to be as amazing as we've had it through the week because we've been able to grab onto the guru once again. We'll be discussing the Pakistan Super League 2020. Of course, we're in a new year now, a new edition of PSL, and the best part about it is, of course, that the entire season is going to be played in Pakistan. Two new venues being added to the existing National Stadium Karachi and Gaddafi Stadium Lahore. Those venues are Multan Cricket Stadium and the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium as well. We're going to see a lot of cricket there, and it's going to be an action-packed PSL once again. We've also discussed a bit about the rosters that have changed as well. Teams have obviously retained some of their key players, and of course drafting has taken place as well. So there's a lot to discuss considering how balanced these sides are, and there's been a lot of changes in the management as well. I think that is more important than the players themselves, because especially if I talk about the likes of Karachi Kings, I think Dean Jones going there is going to do a lot for them this season. I am rooting for Karachi so far, so I think things are bound to change for Karachi. A lot to discuss in the PSL, of course, and we'll have that in detail. Apart from that, we know that the Bangladesh tour to Pakistan is also on the cards. The BCB is still yet to take a decision. They're expected to close these talks on the Pakistan tour very soon, but the Bangladeshi head coach has said that he is willing to tour Pakistan. He said that he does not seem, he didn't see any hurdle, or he doesn't seem any sort of fear in himself not to tour Pakistan. He also talked about the recently concluded tour of Sri Lanka to Pakistan, and he said that the world has to see now that the country and of course its people, and of course the PCB, the management, the security forces have done their bit now to ensure that international cricket has returned to Pakistan, and it should continue in Pakistan. So that is one positive that we can take out, that we do hope now that the BCB would shun its politics now and let cricket be cricket, and the tour would take place. We'll be discussing all of this in studios. I've been joined, like I mentioned, the guru of cricket, first female commentator, has her own YouTube show as well, all over social media, and of course a book that is about to come out very soon. A lot of people are anxious, including me, and of course, like I always said, I've learned every bit of cricket that I have, and the expert analysis from her, Miss Leena Moin Aziz. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam, Ahmed, and thank you very much for the lovely introduction.
Happy New Year to you. It's a
Happy
bit
New Year
late,
to
but
you also.
we just met, didn't we?
Absolutely, Happy New Year. May you have a great year.
Thank you, you too. Definitely the PSL has to be my first thing to discuss with you, and who can explain it better than a person who loves cricket as you, to have the entire PSL in Pakistan?
Absolutely, it is fantastic to have it in Pakistan. We saw the test series against Sri Lanka, the Pindi test match. I mean, everyone knew that there was going to be no result, yet there was crowd every day, especially the 2 days when there was play. It was full, chock-a-block. So you understand the passion for cricket, and it was on the cards. Slowly PSL was coming to Pakistan. It is a fantastic decision by the Pakistan Cricket Board to bring it to Pakistan entirely. I sometimes may not agree with some of the things they do, but this decision I agree, not 100% but 500%. So it is a great move in the right direction, and we will inshallah see that most of the cricket grounds, inshallah, and inshallah all of them will be full of people enjoying cricket. You see, cricket is, you can only enjoy cricket, when the grounds, stadiums are full. When the square cut, a cover drive, or a yorker is appreciated by rapturous applause of the spectators watching the game. So, I mean, if you're going to have great match and you're not going to have any crowd watching it, there's no use. So when I talk about that, I think it is a great move, it's a brave move, and I say kudos and well done to Pakistan Cricket Board for bringing the whole of PSL to Pakistan, and I wish them all the best, and I hope to be a part of it in some way.
Definitely, yeah. I think that would be the best moment for us as well, seeing you there. Of course, you were part of the Pakistan-Sri Lanka series as well. You talked about jam-packed stadiums. That's what we need, of course. But let's face it, watching cricket in the UAE was very disappointing as a fan. I mean, as a viewer, we were so disappointed with when you had the shot of those empty seats. Then I really, my heart goes out to the players who see that they're playing in front of an empty stadium. What would that feeling be like? But that being said, Leena, because we're now bringing cricket to Pakistan gradually, one thing is very particular, that since the 90s or 80s, I haven't seen stadiums changing in terms of their capacity. One or two tweaks, probably added a new gate, a new media box or what. But I still fail to understand even a Rawalpindi cricket stadium. So much people in Islamabad, Pindi love cricket, but just a capacity of 25,000. Whereas India is now also going for a record stadium which they're building. Is going to host 100,000 people. It's going to be a new world record. But we still fail to invest.
Well, first of all, Ahmed, we have to understand that India is it's got a huge population. Pakistan is, of course, smaller in comparison to India. But having said that, I agree with you. The capacity should increase definitely. Also, the look of the stadium should be more spectator friendly,
Attractive.
attractive. There should be some grass banks, So when you, as a spectator, if you want to go and watch cricket, you should, be all happy, excited, geared up to go and watch it. Rather than, thinking about saying, oh, I'm going to be stuck in lines and there is going to be all this security checks and all. Okay, security checks are necessary, but make it as comfortable and easy for the spectators as possible. So the easier it is, the more friendly it is, the more beautiful the grounds look. Of course, there are going to be more crowds. I'm sure the Pakistan Cricket Board is already thinking about this. In this respect, I'm really happy with the Cricket Board because they brought international cricket back to Pakistan. Now the PSL is back to Pakistan. The smiles are going to be back on our faces, the people's faces, our children's faces who are going to watch their heroes playing in front of them. And inshallah develop into heroes themselves, and that can only happen if you see your heroes right in front of you, not so much over the television. So I'm sure that the Pakistan Cricket Board is going to be thinking on these lines, and they are going to make the stadiums better and better, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but it has to happen. And people like Wasim Saab, and you interviewed him yourself also, and Ehsan Mani Saab, they seem very sincere about all this, and that is why I feel international cricket is back here.
A lot of professionalism we're seeing in PCB now.
Yeah. So I'm sure they are already thinking on these lines, and we should be able to see changes in the next 1 or 2 years in the outlook of the stadiums. But the first thing I think they were thinking was that to bring the international cricket back to Pakistan, bring completely. The PSL back to Pakistan completely. We've got lots of foreign players coming and playing in Pakistan, which is a great thing for Pakistan. I mean, Pakistani fans would love to see their own cricketers, but also see foreign cricketers. And that is how PSL goes forward. So this is the next step, what you're talking about, the stadiums, etc. Once, cricket and PSL becomes a regular feature in Pakistan, I'd see definite improvement in the cricket grounds also, and it should happen.
It should happen. You're absolutely right that the first step was bringing back cricket. Do you think that over the years we have seen a biased attitude from the ICC as well? And I really want to talk about this in general because I feel all of the viewers out there also understand that incidents that are related to terrorism are not any nation's problems. They're a genuine problem throughout the world. It's a global threat right now. We had, right now we're seeing Bangladesh Cricket Board so stubborn of not touring Pakistan for Test series, but for the T20 series. I mean, it's surprising where the ICC is. New Zealand, you had the Christchurch attacks. They were just a couple of minutes away, and they would have been involved, but they're still ready to play in New Zealand. When the main tournament was happening in England, we had knife attacks in London, but the teams were perfectly fine. We have huge amount of bushfires. I understand it's a natural calamity, but there's still cricket going on in Australia.
I completely agree with you. I think ICC has to play a bigger role, a more important role. It has to also realize that, terrorism, unfortunately, is a part and parcel of today's ambience of the world. Although, unfortunately, I'd say once again, I mean, we've seen attacks in France, England, like you said, New Zealand. It was the Bangladesh team was just minutes away from that mosque when it happened, and everywhere else in London, in India, everywhere there are terrorism attacks, and they need to be curbed. Terrorism needs to be stopped. Peace has to prevail, but ICC has to realize it has to it has to go into dialogue with cricket boards, which are now saying that they don't want to play in Pakistan. It has to tell them that, look, we send our officials for the umpires, officials for the Sri Lankan series. The Sri Lankans were entirely happy. Their captain tweeted that, you know, he's so sad that he didn't come for that one-day T20 series.
He said he wants to tour
He
again.
wants, yeah, he said it's my, I mean, I feel so bad, I should have.
And the number of international players coming for PSL further proves this.
So, then, you know, they should then ICC should get into dialogue with countries like Bangladesh, with countries like India who don't want to tour Pakistan, or any other countries, Australia, anyone, you know, and talk to them and convince them. They should tell them that our officials have gone. There is no security problem. Pakistan is no worse than any other country in the world. I mean, like we just discussed, everywhere in the world, unfortunately, unnecessarily, there have been attacks, terrorism attacks. So how is Pakistan not more safe or less safe?
Less safe than any other country.
So therefore, the ICC should definitely tell them, or they should tell them that you don't want to go to Pakistan, we'll cut off your points.
Yeah,
and
impose some sort of monetary fines as well.
Yes, penalty.
Yeah.
There should be a penalty, and more than that, there should be dialogue.
Dialogue. One thing which I promised our viewers yesterday was that as PSL comes near, I'll be having every one of our team members, our guests, and everybody that is involved with Sports Extra name their own team. Publicly, I will announce them, because we know that at the end of the season, some people tend to change their teams, which are winning, and then things go haywire. But that being said, I won't ask Lena her team right now. We've still got a couple of days, but I'm dead sure that whatever she names even right now, she'll stick to that. I know her as a person as well. But I think first of all, let's boil down to the squads in general, the changes that have been made, and let's just put up the first squad on your screens now, because nobody better to discuss the PSL squads than the great Miss Lena Moin Aziz, because she has that real bit of analysis about the player. It says hashtag red hot squad. We know it's Islamabad United. You've got, first of all, they've taken Colin Ingram from Karachi, and Dale Steyn is in their squad. What do you have to say about the squad that you see on the screen right now?
Well, I think Islamabad is quite a good squad. They've got some good young players. They've got some performers. They've got some international players. They've got players like Asif Ali, Fahim Ashraf, and then they got Dale Steyn, and of course
Ronki. They've stuck with
Ronki, and Roman Reis, and all these players are pretty good. But one thing I'll say about Dale Steyn, he's a very good player, but there's no guarantee about his fitness.
Yeah,
he could break down any time. He's
and
a fast bowler.
now.
Yeah, and he's bad side of the 30s now. So he is not such a reliable. I mean, I won't be too excited about him. Someone I'd be really excited about would be to see how much Fahim Ashraf has improved. I'd be happy to see the improvement in someone like Hussain Talat and the fitness of Roman Reis.
Yes.
So these 3 or 4 things I'd be happy to see. Although clearly I'd say they're not my team. I've never supported them. I would not support them. My team is as you know, and
yes,
is Quetta.
It's Quetta.
Yeah, and this time I'm liking Karachi like you.
Oh,
because
my favorite team, Roster, Dean Jones.
Dean Jones.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
One thing which we see particular with Islamabad United every season, they tend to stick with a lot of all-rounders. They've got Hussain Talat, Fahim Ashraf, also an all-rounder. They've gone with Ahmad, but Shadab Khan also an all-rounder. Zafar Gohar can bat as well. So they've stuck with a couple of all-rounders now. But definitely this is talk of the town now. People are not happy with the head coach of Pakistan being allowed to be the coach of a franchise.
I completely agree. I don't think so. This should have been allowed. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think one man should do one job.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a coach, then you should be a coach of the national team. Like, for instance, Naseem Shah. You're not allowing him to go and play in the under-19, which is a fantastic move. I agree with it. I was so happy to read that he's not being allowed to play in the international, in the under-19, because you don't want to burn out. You don't want an injury. You want to secure him for the Pakistan team. You don't want to sort of, wrap him in cotton wool and take it from there. And same way for Misbah, I would have really preferred if he just took on one role with the Pakistan side and not sort of resigned himself from this
sort of like conflict
PSL.
of interest
Yeah,
now, polluting
absolutely.
your judgments.
Yeah.
Now we've got Multan Sultans. They have managed to retain Shahid Afridi, Mohammad Irfan, James Wynn, Junaid Khan, Shan Masood, all of these people. You see, a couple of names in particular I would want to talk about is Sohail Tanveer with his experience, Khushdil Shah with his hitting ability, Usman Qadir is there, and they've opted for Ruhail Nazir. I know owner of Multan Sultans, Ali Tareen, is a big fan of youngsters, especially he believes in getting cricket to the local level, but they look like a balanced side. Not much from Multan last season, but they look pretty balanced.
Yeah, you know, Zishan Ashraf did so well domestically. Usman Qadir played in Big Bash last year. Ruhail Nazir, of course, he's pretty young and be good fun to watch him. And they've got experience in Afridi and of course.
And there you have it. Alina's over the moon now. She's got her favorite team, the Quetta Gladiators, with the very gentleman Nadeem Umar, their owner as well. And now
Absolutely.
you see the team.
Great guy.
They've retained a lot of players. I think Sarfaraz Ahmed, Mohammad Nawaz, Ahmed Shahzad, Umar Akmal, Mohammad Hasnain and Naseem Shah, both in one team. That's a good pace battery along with Kemo Paul. They've stuck with him. And Timil Mills and Suhail Khan. Just look at the pace battery in this team.
Yeah, that also, I mean, look at Naseem Shah and the youngster Hasnain in one side. I mean, youngsters with great pace. Then they got Jason Roy, a great batsman.
And Shane Watson, which is the key reason they won the PSL.
And Fawad Alam, the leggy, Fawad Ahmed, the leggy. So they've got some very exciting players, and they're gelled really nicely under Sarfaraz. Under the gentleman kind of leadership of Mr. Umar, Nadeem Umar, and also pretty experienced Muin Khan, you know. So they've got some very exciting players. I mean, Timel Mills and all these players are very exciting. And once again, I think they're destined to do well. I won't say if they are going to be winners. I hope they are, but
defending champions,
but they are destined to do well. And I think Sarfaraz would be he'll have a lot of fire under, you know, in his belly to do well and to prove himself. He's probably got a little bit anger going also. So this should be very exciting to see once again how this side performs.
And now you have the Pakhtun power on your screen. Now you've got Javed Afridi's very own Peshawar Zalme squad. They've got the leading wicket taker of the PSL so far, Mr. Wahab Riaz. Karen Pollard has been once again retained, Hassan Ali, Tim Banton. Lina, I'll pick out very particular things because obviously we're short on time as well. Hassan Ali has a lot to prove now because the way I see it, for him to make a return in Pakistan cricket is going to be something miraculous because of the names you already have there.
Yeah, now Naseem Shah has come up.
Haris
and you know,
Rauf is coming up.
And so, yes, first thing, he'll have to prove his fitness. He'll have to bowl those overs. And there are only 4 overs in T20. So, if he goes through the whole tournament, without a niggle, without an injury, at least he will check one of the boxes. That will mean that he's fit. Then people will see how many wickets he's taken, how much he's bothered the batsman, what kind of variety he's showing. So, yes, that's interesting. I find them very exciting. I absolutely love Darren Sammy and his spirit.
Darren Sammy Khan.
Yeah, Darren Sammy Khan, his spirit. And then they've got some really good players. And, you know, they've got Kamran Akmal, who's done well.
Umar Amin, I think.
Umar Amin is, yes, fantastic. Pollard is playing for them. Shoaib Malik is now gone. He's with them.
This particular change of Shoaib Malik, how do you see this? Probably the most experienced T20 player in terms of the leagues he's played in everywhere. But Multan, quiet little season, but he has to prove himself this time because, of course, him and Hafiz are eyeing a spot for the T20 World Cup.
Yeah, well, they'll always be eyeing some spot or the other, both of them. They're very experienced players. I mean, they've done well in the shorter format, especially both Hafiz and if Hafiz, you know, the thing with Hafiz is he's fit, he can bowling fit, and he's not marginalized by the ICC. Then he's a great player to have. Shoaib Malik, of course, very experienced. He can come and soak in the pressure, get those runs.
And let's just have that card that we just had on television. I think that was the leading run scorers of the PSL. It's important to discuss this because one man that we see consistently scoring is Kamran Akmal in the PSL. And I think, of course, Shane Watson is there as an overseas player. Let's just have our producer cue that up once again. That was the leading run scorers of the PSL. You had the likes of Shane Watson, Kamran Akmal, Ahmed Shahzad was in the run scorers as well. So a lot to talk about. Of course, we've seen teams having particular difference when their top order fires as well. And we know Kamran Akmal is a genuine opener and Peshawar have utilized him like that. There you go. Kamran Akmal, 1,286 runs. Shane Watson, second, 1,114. Babar Azam, the #1 batsman in T20 and the skipper for Pakistan, 1,043. Ahmed Shahzad, 1,016, and Shoaib Malik, 849.
Yeah, so these have been the key players in all the editions of the PSL. And once again, we not only want to see these players doing well and making their figures, their numbers better, but we also want to see a few of the younger players that
New talent,
yeah, like Zishan Ashraf and Rohil and Nazir, these players to do well and sort of join these great players in next year when you're talking about numbers, who's the highest scorer. We want a few. Hussain Talat is someone I thought he started well, then there was a dip. I think he needs to now come up and he needs to understand his game better, play with a better game plan. So yes, these players are important, but I want to also see a few young Pakistanis doing well now this season.
Definitely, we do have that. And if we move on to the next team, of course, we've already had Islamabad, we've had Quetta, we've had Peshawar. I think if I discuss Karachi Kings in general with Leena now, I think before going on to the players, the move of Dean Jones from Islamabad to Karachi, already giving Islamabad so many titles now, I think that is a destiny in the making.
Also, like Sarfaraz, Dean Jones also might have something to prove, because I thought he was interested in the Pakistani, either the coach, role of the coach, Pakistani coach. So he'll have something to prove also. He's also changing teams. He's going from Islamabad to Karachi. So that also, I think he's a fantastic cricket mind. He will do well with the Karachi Kings, who always had great names, but they haven't
Look at the side
crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
So
look at the side, Leena, this season. Babar Azam, class apart. Mohammad Amir, Imad Wasim, Iftikhar Ahmed. Amir Yameen is my favorite all-rounder right now in PSL.
Absolutely,
You've got Osama Mir, Umar Khan, the prodigy, which we talked about so
the
much,
left
the left-arm
spinner.
spinner. And a new inclusion, Alex Hales comes into the side.
And Sharjeel Khan is back.
He's got something to prove as well.
Yes. So there are a lot of people who got something to prove in this, including their coach, and also Imad Wasim as a captain has got something to prove. Sharjeel Khan, I mean, Mohammad Amir.
Would you say on paper this is the strongest side of the PSL?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's very well balanced, excellent side. But once again, I mean, why I said I love Darren Sammy so much is that he's able to sort of get the best out of all his proteges.
As a unit, yes.
As a unit, they do well. His proteges do well. They always playing the final they won it. So they're a good side. Karachi and Lahore, all these teams have got to do well. Karachi's always they always buy the most expensive players, but they never finish. So this time with Dean Jones, I think they are aiming to finish it and capture the title. So the Quetta and Peshawar, these teams need to be wary of Karachi.
Well, if there was any public opinion for people that who should win the PSL, people would definitely, I think the most amount of votes would be coming for Rana Fawad. I think Lahore Qalandars every season, it's been so sad with him. He's like a brand ambassador for PSL. Now he's become the face of the PSL. But we already see Lahore Qalandars investing so much. I think if you had to choose player development programs, theirs is one to see. Peshawar Zalmay is doing a lot with promoting cricket in far-flung areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, including their Madrasa League, which they had. But Lahore, once again, we talked about buying the most expensive players. They've done that. Chris Gayle, AB de Villiers, you name it. But as a unit, something seems to be wrong.
Always, I mean, they need to, I think they are probably invested themselves too much here and there in this area, that area.
Limelight activities.
Always the whole year around. So when it comes to PSL, I think they're drained out. They're, emotionally, physically drained out by the time the PSL comes. This time, maybe it's going to be different. We can't tell right now. They're always, like you said, they've got a good side, but they need to start off well. First of all, I feel they need to start off well. If they get to win a few matches in the beginning, say 3 or 4 matches on the trot, then they could be really troublesome for the other side, because they've got some young, exciting talent in Haris Rauf and all these guys. But they've got to start off well and show that energy that they're here to win. They have the hunger to win, and they've got to show some seriousness. I think their ownership needs to show, not just be the face of PSL, but someone who wants to win the PSL. So that seriousness needs to come in the Lahore side, which I think has been lacking.
It's always said that a coach or an owner or anyone needs to have a certain line of distance from the players. Once you get too involved.
And the crowd.
And the crowd. He's like a cheerleader.
So he's got to be different.
Once you become too involved with the players, then things go wrong. Because like you mentioned, they've got to be serious themselves because we've seen Lahore Qalandars at one point batting probably so well, but they fall like a house of cards. It's like T10 is the prime focus, not T20.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that these teams, including Lahore, have to be serious. They have to take this tournament seriously as other teams are taking. I mean, because they're doing so many sideline activities, but which, by the way, are great for the Pakistan team. I mean, the young talent hunt and everything, and sending players to Australia to develop. These are great things, and probably we'll get a few players out of them. And someone like an Haris Rauf is a product of that kind of activity. But then, they, like you said, I mean, not T10 but T20. T10 pretty not so much my cup of tea, but T20 is like everyone's cup of tea. This is where players, you develop players. There's a proper World Cup, T20 World Cup, and then these players, the ones which are like the cream of these players, then go on to play one-day cricket, and then from there some of them Test cricket, which is the pinnacle of the game. So this has to be taken seriously, and the Lahore side has to take it seriously and work towards a strategy. But I think the key would be confidence. I think once they lose a few games, the confidence goes down because they haven't won anything. They haven't reached the semis.
Terrifying
ever.
last season.
Yeah,
yes.
very bad. And they chose a series of bad captains, like McCullum, when he was done and dusted for. They chose him then. His own form wasn't that great,
Hafiz after that.
And Hafiz, so they need to.
And this season they've invested in Suhail Akhtar.
Yeah, well, and I don't see that as a great choice. I mean, maybe he'll surprise us. I hope he does. But that's not a great choice on the surface. If this one diamond is lying on the table, you say, oh man, it's a diamond. You appreciate it straight away. It's not a diamond that you appreciate straight away. So this is like a pearl, an unfinished pearl.
No, might work, might not.
Yeah, sometimes an unfinished pearl can look really nice on you. I mean, it could probably outshine the diamond. Let's see.
Well, it's glad that we saw some of these youngsters developing. I think Umar Khan is one of them. Mohammad Hasnain has been one of them. Naseem Shah, of course, coming from the under-19 structure, now going to get a part in PSL. He was not available in the last seasons as well. But it's good to see. I think apart from all of the cricketing activity that would be happening in Pakistan, of course, you're going to get your hands on tickets once they go online. Please don't ask all of us. We don't have them. We have to make it clear every season. We don't have them. Come on. You can just get them yourself. But that being said, I think it's important that we see a change in culture once you bring in franchise cricket. Because like I mentioned, a lot of these franchises, like Javed Afridi, because he's got Hire and Peshawar Zalme together, Lahore Qalandars also do that. Quetta Gladiators has been doing that. Every side does that, but I think if you had to pick two of them, it would be Lahore Qalandar and Peshawar Zalme. Because what happens is then these franchises tend to invest in cricket. I think Multan Sultans, my apologies, I forget them. I think if you had to promote cricket and bring people from the grassroots levels, Ali Tareen is doing a fine job. It's important that we see outside activities from cricket where you have development programs, madrasa leagues, sort of these activities. So you can just spread cricket to all parts of the world.
Yeah, well, the ICC, everyone is trying to spread cricket, taking it to countries like, you've seen that go to countries like Nepal. 20 years down the line, if someone was sitting here and, the host would have said to the expert would have said to the host that, yeah, I see Nepal playing cricket, no one would have imagined that. So, yes, you're absolutely right. These fringe activities, sideline activities are very important. To pick up jewels from there, you develop this thing, and school cricket, for instance, is very important. Players like Sangakkara, Sachin Tendulkar, Jay Vardhane have
all products yes.
of school cricket. So not just madrasa cricket, but proper, the schools, the normal schools that we have in our society, those need to play cricket, and they need to have inter-school matches, and maybe these franchises need to invest in school cricket. Maybe certain franchise can say, okay, these are 3 schools which is my franchise responsibility, and another one would say, okay, these 3 are mine, and then have them fight. That would then create the competition, the culture, and that's very important.
Very, very important indeed. But that was the PSL. Leena's already given her team. That's Quetta. I've said Karachi. We're going to have a lot of word from our other people involved with the show as well, so that we get it on record that nobody can change their teams. But then again, talking about the PSL, of course, happening around the world, other cricketing events as well. have to be the two test series that are happening. One is England against South Africa and the other is Australia up against New Zealand. Australia has so far dominated New Zealand in all formats. I think they're becoming that formidable side that all the nations around the world feared when playing against. But I think on the other hand, if I just move to Marnus Labuschagne, I think what a gem of a player. 8 consecutive tons in 8 games. They had so much reliance on Steve Smith. I am so happy for Australia that they found another individual now they can bank on. Leena, your thoughts on Marnus Labuschagne?
Absolutely amazing batsman. He's taken a lot of pressure off Smith and perhaps also Warner in many ways. You know, their two main batsmen, they now have another star who is getting runs continuously. He's already, I think, the number 4 test batsman in just less than a year. So he's done wonderfully well. He's got the complete game. He can play well on the off side. He can play shots on the leg side. He can invent strokes. So he's a complete package, a wonderful talent. But if you want to talk about pitches.
Oh, I do, because I don't. I am surprised Australia and South Africa. South Africa, of course, not that much, but Australia becoming a batting paradise, something you don't often see. And I have to, as a cricket lover, I think me and Leena were discussing this before the show. She gave me a lot of education on this very particular subject as well. It is very important for the viewers to understand how important the ball is in cricket, especially Test cricket. I think it's about time now, Leena, you can better explain that the Kookaburra ball is completely taking the game away.
Look, you know, my theory is pretty simple. Play your Test cricket with the Duke's ball. Play your one-day cricket and T20 with the Kookaburra. In Test cricket, we know, I mean, we need, you know, the ball to swing, and the Duke's ball does swing for almost the whole of 80 overs. And then you get a new ball and that will swing. So, you know, when the bowler's getting a lot of, on these tracks like Australia, by the way, I mean, Dennis Lilly, when he said Faisalabad was a bowler's graveyard, he should take a look at Adelaide, he should take a look at MCG, he should take a look at Sydney. These 3 pitches, I don't know, I mean, the bowler, I don't know how he doesn't commit suicide, there's nothing. And that's why I say that, you know, these pitches, the cricket needs to be played with the Duke's ball. So if the pitches are not going to be improved, at least there is going to be something for the bowler.
But why do you see this change in trend now? We saw this in England in the Champions Trophy that Pakistan won, that suddenly English wickets became batting paradises. We saw it in the World Cup, in the series that Pakistan toured before the World Cup to England. We saw mountain of runs, Jason Roy getting a century, Butler getting a century. There's certain change in trend now in cricket.
Look, you know, when you talk about English pitches, they're way better than Australian pitches. You talk about runs, yes, people are going to score runs. When I talk that the pitches are flat and, you know, mountains of runs are being scored, I don't mean that the batsman should not score run. I mean there should be a competition, balance between bat and ball. There will be players, good players, who will get centuries in England. In England, the thing is that why the cricket in England is so interesting, and even in South Africa, is because there's always something for the bowler in it. You know, a batsman could be playing at 60 runs, well settled, but there'll be one ball would, you know, seam and then perhaps swing in the air and seam. So then that'll get the wicket. Right now, I mean, I was checking the score like half an hour ago.
At
T, I think it was 100 and something for 4.
It's 161 for 4. The play has resumed.
So that's great Test cricket. You know, the first Test match at Super Sport Park, it was decided 80 to 100 runs difference. That is Test match cricket. When you, till the last day, you're sitting and you don't know which team is going to win. Any side could have won.
Yeah, imagine Australia
But in Australia,
winning,
only Australia can win.
An innings and 16 runs for Australia in the last Test
match. That's boring cricket. That's dull cricket. That's trying to pull into Test cricket down the abyss. And you don't want that, because I still feel that the pinnacle of the game, the most interesting form of the game, is Test cricket. But we'll have to take step. ICC has taken a great step by making this into a Test championship. The second thing it should do, it should give more Test matches to countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. West Indies. These countries should have more number of games. And also the Duke's ball should be there. The pitches should be, there should be no drop-in pitches like in Australia. So, you know, these things have to be worked at.
I mean, if I watched my television on Boxing Day and it was 270 or 300 for just one, I believe me, I changed the channel. I would rather watch a 6-minute highlight on YouTube on Cricket Australia's television channel, but because that is, you're absolutely right, boring. But let's talk about England. Struggling in South Africa, lost the first Test match. There are certain problems with England. You have to realize this, that Joe Root is under a lot of pressure. And I don't see in the past year or so England playing much cricket outside England as well. Now they're in South Africa, troubles, nothing at the opening department since Alistair Cooks has left, so many changes. No solid middle order I've seen after Jonathan Trott. I'll stand corrected, I said this in the last show. After Jonathan Trott, Ian Bell, I didn't see a solid middle order. Problems.
Yeah, there are problems, but having said that, they've got one opener who has a very unorthodox technique, Burns.
Yes.
But he's a good player. He's giving you 70, 80 runs. He's given you a century also. And he's injured this test match, but he's a good opener.
But no partner.
But no partner. In Sibley, they're looking for someone, you know, if Burns from the other side and Sibley could be a good partnership. But this test match, after they, you know, were in a good partnership in the first test match, now Burns is injured, so you can't now have continuity. The thing is that, so they, okay, that area after someone like Alistair Cook, who's now Sir Alistair Cook, you can't get a partnership going immediately. It'll take some time, like, you know, Sangakkara retiring or Misbah retiring or Yunus Khan retiring. It takes some time. So it's going to take some time, but they've got some. The problem is in the middle order. The problem is that Root himself, he's taking too much pressure. He's their main batsman. Don't make him into a captain. He's not a good captain. We've seen he's taking pressure. I mean, have another character, a happy-go-lucky, strong character like Stokes.
Like that Collingwood.
You know, have him lead the side, and let's see how it goes. And also, there is confusion. England doesn't know if they don't know if they want to play the gung-ho style of cricket in Test cricket, the gung-ho cricket, or they want to go back into the conventional form. So there is confusion. Either play the gung-ho cricket or go the conventional way. So they're right now in the middle of making decision, but it can all change for them. They're very talented side, a very strong side, great bowling side. Anderson, Broad, you know,
lack of spinner you see in English side right
now? You know, definite. I mean, ever since Gramson they haven't got a quality spinner, so they need that.
Moeen Ali did some good time, got a hat trick last season for against South Africa. Adil Rashid was good enough, but no Graham Swan again.
Yeah, like Graham Swan, world-class off-spinner, so they need someone like that. Like Pakistan needs an off-spinner, world-class off-spinner, England also. So there needs to be some tweaking, but they're a good side, you know, generally. But I think the captaincy is an issue, and maybe they should look at changing.
Because you saw a fine gentleman like Joe Root, but now under a lot of pressure. I think you put it
that's why I never want the captaincy. I'm on record today. I never want the captaincy to be given to Babar
Azam as well. We opted for Imad Wasim. Me and you both said it. Imad was a prime candidate. Leena, thank you so much. Always great pleasure having you on the show. Great learning for me and our viewers as well. Definitely we're going to be discussing a lot of cricket when we join you next week as well. And of course, like we mentioned, PSL is also happening. Bangladesh's tour is also on the cards. Great news for Pakistan and around the world. You're already seeing some great test cricket in the making as well. From me and the entire team, wishing you a great weekend ahead. It's goodbye for now. Team, it's goodbye for now.